Hello ladies and gents, welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to review and document this beautiful guitar. This is the Dean Razorback Cemetery Gates. Just a heads up, I will not be doing a sound demo for this guitar just because I got this secondhand and the original pickups on this guitar were swapped, so I wouldn't be able to do a faithful sound demo for you guys with this guitar. So let's get right into the specs and features. So the graphic is the Cemetery Gates Special Edition graphic, which has a lot of lightning, razors, a really cool Easter egg with Dimebag that I will show you at the end of the video. It's got a few little Cowboys from Hell guitars in there. It's got the Cemetery Gate. Honestly, stunning graphic. It's one of the best graphics that Dean has put out for a Razorback. The fretboard is, they call it Falpero. I've never heard of this fretboard material, but it looks like ebony. It looks rich. It looks dark, and I quite like it. I mean, this guitar is quite old, and I don't see any cracks on the fretboard or anything like that. The headstock has that really cool V shape that Dean Guitars is known for. The inlay materials for this guitar are just acrylic, but they look really cool, especially the 12th fret marker, which is a razor. It shines very nicely, and the rest of the fret markers are just little V's. They still look cool. They're made out of acrylic, but they stand out as they should, and they are a really good guide when you're playing this guitar. The back of this guitar is nothing fancy. It's plain black. It's coated in lacquer. The back of the neck is painted, and admittedly, the back of the neck being painted can make it hard to play after you use it for a long time. This being because when your hands start sweating, the back of the neck can get sticky, and it just creates a level of uncomfort when you play this guitar for a long time. The back of the headstock, this guitar comes with Grover tuners out of the factory, which a lot of higher end Razorbacks do, and even some cheap end before Dean started being what they are today, if you know what I mean. This guitar, like a lot of higher end Razorbacks, comes with a set neck, which can make it so that these guitars have neck joint cracks, not because they're bad guitars or because the neck is going to break off, but because the wood in the neck expands at a different rate than the wood on the body, which is mahogany on this guitar. So that creates an imbalance of how the wood expands and creates those cracks on the neck joint. Even Dimebag had this problem with his guitars, but again, you don't have to mind this because it doesn't mean the guitar is a bad quality. It's just a product of the woods being different. I will say the tuning stability on this guitar is amazing. When I first got this guitar, I changed the strings, and then I played with it for a long time using the heck out of the whammy bar, and it just did not go out of tune. So kudos to Dean Guitars for however they built this guitar. I'm sure that's not the case with their newer guitars. I'm going to show you guys what this guitar looks like under the hood, sort of say. So the pickup cavities and the tremolo cavities are actually very rough. So I don't know if you guys can see that clearly, but they're pretty rough on the inside, but they're shielded off with paint, so it makes it hard to catch on camera. The film that contains the graphic under the lacquer bubbles up, and that is not good. So basically it's breaking off in certain points. For example, there next to the tuner, it's bubbling up. At some point that's going to break off if you put pressure on the air bubble that's underneath or anything like that. So that's one potential flaw with these guitars, because they're not going to age well if they keep bubbling up like that. My theory is just that they bubble up when they're like when they're exposed to the sun or something like that, basically with heat. But yeah, it still manages to look cool even when it's broken off. But I don't know, if you're a perfectionist, I guess this would interfere with how you would want the guitar to be presented. As well as over time, this is not going to get any better. But yeah, that's what the guitar looks like under the hood. The pickup cavities, again, they're pretty rough. The tremolo cavities is so that the bar doesn't go too far back, which I think contributes to the tuning stability, because when you have a lot of pull with the whammy bar, it can make it so that you can easily pop a string. Also, the whammy bar system on this guitar is kind of weird. The little gadget that held the tremolo arm was just like a flimsy, like you put it in and then put it like screw the side to keep it in place. But luckily for you guys, you can easily change it with like a traditional Floyd Rose arm screw. So that's what I did with this guitar, and honestly it feels and plays a lot better that way. The pickups on this guitar weren't swapped with any fancy like Gibson burst buckers or anything like that, but instead just cheap G&B pickups, which I mean, they sound like cheap G&B pickups. What more can I say? So this guitar, along with the other ones you guys see on screen, were bought from this guy as part of his Razorback collection. Basically, this dude I met on the Dean Guitar Forum on Facebook sold me his Razorback collection, and I've somewhat upgraded and sold each one of these for a small amount of profit. If you guys want to check out the review videos for the other Razorbacks, I'll leave a link in the description for this video. But honestly, this Razorback, the Dean Cemetery Gates, is the coolest. This is a guitar that I saw ads of when I was a teenager on like Guitar World magazines and stuff like that. So it's very surreal to own it, even if it's just for a little bit in between the time I sell it or whatever. It I don't know, it just feels weird because it's like I would have loved this when I was a teenager, you know? And I would have definitely kept this guitar if it had 24 frets, but 22 frets is not really my thing. But it is a great guitar overall, and I have a soft spot for it just based on what I told you guys. So this guitar, sadly, along with the other Razorbacks I showed you guys earlier, are no longer in production. The reason being is there's a legal battle between the Dimebag estate and Dean Guitars, so they're halting the production of Dimebag guitars at the moment. I believe that has something to do with the fact that the quality in Dean guitars has significantly dropped in recent years. So maybe the Dimebag estate is like, how can you honor Dimebag's legacy by putting out shitty guitars? But I don't know the full details. All I know is that production on Dean guitars has been halted. It's sad really because Dean Guitars has lost a lot of endorsements, and I always thought that their Dimebag guitars were never going to be discontinued. Like every year they're going to put out a new one like they have been for a really long time, and that's the one artist they could, I hate to say it like this, but milk their fans for, because like Dave Mustaine left Dean Guitars, but again it's sad that Dean Guitars has lost all that prestige over the years. Just my opinion, but it's a sad truth that a lot of people agree with me on. Anyway, back to this guitar. One thing I want you guys to mind if you're looking into getting one of these Cemetery Gates guitars is the serial code, because sometimes it'll say US, like with this guitar. That does not mean that this guitar was made in the United States. All of these Cemetery Gates guitars were made in Korea. If it has US somewhere in the serial code, it means it was made in Unsung, Korea. Don't let some fucking scalper make you think that these were made in the United States and charge you thousands of dollars for these. None of these Cemetery Gates guitars were made in the United States. They were all made in Korea. So I'm just trying to give you guys all those pieces of information so you don't get ripped off and you more strategically get one of these guitars if you find one. Now when it comes to holding this guitar, it is very comfortable, even though you wouldn't think it because it's very sharp. But you can honestly hold it like a flying V because it's got that aspect of it. You can hold it on your lap because it's got that explorer-ish bottom aspect to it. Honestly, it's a comfortable guitar whether you play with it standing up or sitting down. There is a little bit of neck dive, but nothing a good stable strap can take care of when you play standing up. So there is that, but again, it's super comfortable however you hold it, whether it is how I am right now or when you play with it sitting down or standing up. I like the versatility of it, being able to be placed on your lap or like a flying V, like a classical position. So that's just a bonus in my opinion, but it is a very pointy guitar, so you got to be careful where you place it or how you hold it, because you can easily hit it against something and crack it. It is a little bit oversized is what I'm trying to say, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because it makes it stand out that much more on stage. Not to mention, these guitars just look great from every angle because they're meant to have that striking look. So they're beautiful guitars in a metal sense, and they stand out on stage. They're just really good guitars in terms of aesthetic, and again, they just look very metal. Alright guys, final thoughts on these guitars. In terms of sound, these pickups, again, I didn't sound demo them for you, but I'll tell you now, they're about a 6.5 out of 10. They're very mediocre pickups. They're very cheap pickups. They're some of the cheapest pickups you can get, which is why they have such a low rating, because they're not made to sound incredible or anything like that. In terms of construction, I give this guitar a 9.2 out of 10. Again, it is very well built. The tuning stability just blew my mind. I was super happy with that. So great construction, and even though it's very old, I believe these guitars came out in 2007-ish, it's managed to preserve a lot of what makes it look cool, as well as the playability and feel. And going into feel, I would give this guitar a 9 out of 10. Again, even though it's very sharp and very bulky, it manages to be very comfortable no matter how you hold it. And these guitars did not come with a gig bag or anything like that, but instead with a hard shell case. Not like the bag that I'm showing you guys now. That's a light leer case that comes with the lower end, what do you call them, lower end Razorbacks. But that's what I got with this guitar since I bought it secondhand. If you guys were lucky enough to buy one of these brand new back in the day, it came with a hard shell case, which is much better in my opinion. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for you for today. And stick around till the end so you can see where that secret Easter egg with Dimebag is located on this guitar. But besides that, you guys have a great day and stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell.